everyone. Thanks for tuning in to another episode at the Warehouse Underground podcast, Real Talk, for warehouse, DC, and FC professionals of all levels around the globe. I'm Ben, the host of the show, and joining me on the show today is Ignacio Galiana. Now, he is the CEO and co-founder of Verve Motion, powering the human workplace. Now, these guys are in the Exosuit space, which I am personally, selfishly, a fan of. As someone who actually had back surgery when I was in my young 20s, I'm very sensitive to wear and tear and strain on my body, and specifically my back. And so I've had a chance to wear one of these suits before and use them, and I love them. I'm a big fan. So when Verve Motion contacted me to appear on the podcast, I couldn't say yes fast enough because I am selfishly a big fan. So I'm really excited to chat with Ignacio today. He's very interesting, very unique background, and they're doing some amazing stuff for warehouse and distribution employees everywhere, which obviously is very near and dear to my heart. So with that, I will bring him onto the stage right now. Ignacio, sir, thank you very much for joining the Warehouse Underground podcast. How are you today, man?
Thank you so much, Ben. Doing great. And thanks for having me. It's a pleasure to be here.
Yeah, you got it. So like I said in the intro, I'm personally a fan of your product. Now, I don't say that to every guest on the show. I want you to know that. I love what they do, but I especially love what you do and the product that you have. And we'll talk about that more in the show. I have some cool photos to show and everything like that. We'll learn more. But before we do that, though, can you just tell the audience a little bit about you, your background, interesting, and how Verve Motion kind of came to be? What's the history?
Yeah, absolutely. So my background is technical. I did a PhD back in Spain focused on human-machine interaction. So how robotics and humans should work together to perhaps interact with a virtual environment, a real environment, etc. Through that PhD, I started a collaboration with Harvard University. So I came to Harvard for a few months. There, I met this faculty member, Connor Walsh, who was starting his lab, really, inventing the concept of what a soft exosuit could be. And I was so excited by what he was planning to build, what his lab was being set up for. To do. I didn't even go to my graduation. I just skipped it, got on a plane and joined him. So initially, was focused on developing wearables for the military. Soldiers walk very long distances. Sometimes they carry 100-pound rucksacks through that distance. So how to improve performance, how to improve, how they feel at the end of that. And did some work on medical and started to focus on really, what is the application where we can really help millions of people right away that are doing the toughest jobs on Earth? And we picked up industrial warehousing. The environments, right? They're tough. People are working really hard over very long hours. They get injured all the time. I didn't know you had that personal experience. I wish we had been there 20 years ago. We're here now. And I started to talk to leaders in those industries, to the workers themselves, on how their experience was like, what their challenges were. And so we basically did a prototype, put it on a few workers, let them try it. And it's like, oh, wow, this can really make a big impact. That prototype was very early. So like, wow, if we take this feedback, what we're learning, and develop a product that looks like this, we can really change lives for millions of people. And that's what drove me, to build a team, to start Verve Motion back in 2020, March 2020, right? You can never pick the right time. March 2020, we launched out of Harvard University and we started the company. Yeah.
Yeah, your graduation is just a ceremony, so no need to go. But I don't recommend that for wedding ceremonies, just for those listening. Yeah, please go to your wedding. You can miss graduation.
I did go to that one.
Yeah, but it's true. And I think in a warehouse environment, you're right. I mean, there are a lot of things that people try to do to mitigate strain, mitigate stress, and everything in there. But at the end of the day, it's still a warehouse environment. I mean, you still have to be able to lift 50 pounds most places, and there's a lot of lift in there. So for those who aren't familiar, like if you go to the shows or you visit sites like yours online, you can see exosuits. But for those who aren't familiar, what are they? I mean, can you just kind of explain what they are and how they reduce worker injuries
Yeah.
primarily, but also really kind of include their quality of life too?
Yes, absolutely. So first, I'll start with what they used to be. And when you say exosuit or exoskeleton, what people will picture is a big, rigid exoskeleton, kind of like Iron Man, like you watch in the movies. Our focus at Harvard and at Verve is let's do products that are really practical, easy to use, lightweight. So an exosuit is a lightweight system that you can put on, kind of like feels like you're putting on a backpack. A couple of components around your thighs. Most of everything that touches you is textile based, so very, very familiar feeling on, again, a hydration vest or wearing pants, etc. The system that we developed has sensors in it that measure how you move, detect how you move, and it has a motor. So if you look at it, there is a red component on the back of the user that's then splits to its leg. And it's basically acting like an external muscle that is doing some of the work for you. So the interesting part is someone's wearing it, moving around. You can forget that you're wearing it. The system will just know when to assist you and will assist you when it can. The system will monitor your movement, see how you're moving, and and if you're bending down to lift something up, it will know exactly at the precise moment when it can help you. And it would actuate to take some of the load, some of the burden of your muscles. So that's really how it works. And it's interesting when you look at these environments, you mentioned, Ben, workers and these warehouses and these environments being able to lift 50 pounds. This stat often surprises people. When you look at a warehouse worker, they may lift 40 to 50,000 pounds in a single day. Right. So it's that repetition of you're doing a couple thousand lifts of that, 30 to 50 pound weight range, and it adds up. It puts a toll on their body. So if you're able with our suit to remove about 30 to 40% of that load from each and every of those lifts and movements, it's really a huge impact. And it's that repetitive nature, taking the weight off out of every lift or as many lifts as we possibly can, and then how do you feel at the end of the day, at the end of the week, at the end of the month, and prevent injury. That's really what the system does.
Yeah, I really like that. And one thing that you mentioned that I don't think I think I knew, but other people might know, is that it's battery powered, right?
Yeah.
Like it's battery powered. It's not just something that you wear with tension. Like it has batteries. So is that the thing that is making it more capable than something that is just not battery power? And then I kind of have to ask you the next question. Well, what about the battery life?
Right.
Because a warehouse shift is anywhere from 8 to 12 hours and sometimes even a little bit longer. So what about that battery life? Can make sure that it lasts throughout the day?
Yeah, we were really obsessed. I'll focus first on the user experience. We were very obsessed from the beginning on making sure that the battery lasted a full shift. And so you might guess, a shift is 8 hours. It actually is not. Sometimes it can be up to 12, right? And so we designed the battery life to be able to last 12 hours. We also know that sometimes at the end of the shift, people are running around and you can forget things, right? Maybe you forget to charge the suit or whatever it is.
Yeah.
So we made the batteries swappable. So if you forget to charge the day before, you can have extras and you can just pop them in. Really what we want to make sure is that while you're working, you're not thinking about when you're going to have to change that battery or how long that battery is going to last. It's just going to last for as long as you work that day. So that was kind of like a principle of the design. When it comes to why battery power, right? So our system has the ability to adapt to the way people move. Not everyone moves the same way. Not every task, not every environment looks the same. So we basically develop our system with sensors in it that know how you're moving. And we use that information to decide when is the right time to assist and how does that assistance look. And that assistance might look differently for you than for me in this environment than in that other environment. And so we felt it was needed if we wanted to assist as many people as we set up to be, as a company, to have a power system. The other thing that it does is it allows us to be flexible when you don't need it. So if you're doing a task for which you don't need assistance, the system will just feel like you're just wearing a lightweight backpack. And then when the system knows that it can help you, that's when it would actuate. And so that's where the power comes into play. You need to be able to understand the environment, understand the people wearing it, and make the adjustments. The other thing is our systems are connected, so we can actually push software updates, software upgrades over the air. So you're wearing this today, we come up with something new, or you're doing a different task tomorrow, we can just over the air push a software update or select a different type of assistance or kind of whatever it is. So that's all those things are possible because of that power, which both make the systems adapt to the way you move, and allows us to keep innovating, keep making our systems better.
Yeah, that's very cool, and that's a great function, I think. I mean, if you look at forklifts, sometimes forklifts will not recharge. People will forget to recharge them, and to swap out a battery in a forklift is not really a thing, or it's big and huge and cumbersome and that type thing. So I think to have that level of, no, you're not dead, right? We can easily swap this out and off you go, I think offers a lot of capability. And one thing that I've noticed kind of going through your website and seeing the product and even behind, and I'll bring this up, is that it's really neat. And I'll bring up a photo of this picture because I like it. It's really cool to me that, like, let me take traditional safety gear. Like, let's take a harness that someone wears on an order picker. Okay. It's just safety gear. There's no style in it. There's no apparel. There's no design. There's no look good. Right. Yeah. But with what Verve Motion makes, though, it sounds like you use scientists to design it and apparel designers. I mean, just looking at behind your screen. So is that something that you kind of had always envisioned? Did you grow into that? Because I love that part. I mean, people want to have good safety gear, but it's a great bonus if it looks good too. I mean, you look good, you feel good, you work good. That's kind of how I look at it. So we think about the style of it, because I think that's a really cool feature.
Yeah, thank you. Absolutely. So from the beginning, we had, as part of our team, embedded in our team, it's a core function. It's one of the most important functions that we have in the company is functional. We call it functional apparel or soft good design, and it's really that combination of the system has to look good, feel good. You're going to be wearing it for a long time, right? So we might as well capture that. It also has to incorporate a lot of functional components and elements, right? Because we're doing things that are not commonly seen in clothing, like transferring forces from here and there, and adding sensing capabilities, etc. So it's really, how do you integrate those technology components into a familiar form function, like a hydration vest type looking system, and then how do you make sure that you leverage the surfaces that you have to create a good worker experience? And part of it is looking cool, right? When you're going to work. And so that was part of the ambition. Sometimes people confuse looking cool with like having a lot of metal and robotics kind of around you. For us, it was around let's see what we hire people out of New Balance, Adidas, Reebok, Thule, etc. And so some of the common brands that people wear and want to wear every day, because for us that's very important as we design product. And we're launching a new product later this year, so you'll get to see it even get more and more exciting stuff. That's great.
Yeah. Well, one of the things in warehousing, and any ops manager who is listening out there, anybody who is ran a facility will know that sometimes it's hard to get buy-in when it comes to safety and equipment and everything. I mean, people know that they should do it, right? They should do it. They should wear it, all these things. So if you have things that you don't have to always drive and double check on, and for lack of a term, like babysit and audit and everything, if it's something that somebody is going to like and feel good because it looks good and everything, I think it's just like, and then it's not something that the managers even have to notice, right? They don't even have to ensure that they're wearing this. They want to wear this and they want to look good and everything. So I think that makes it easier for people to get a warehouse guy who's 25 years old, or girl or whatever, to want to wear it and not have to wear it. So I really like it. part of it.
The other thing is like
Thought,
designing it for different, when you go into a warehouse, everyone, like everywhere in life, right? Everyone looks different. And so the system has to really adapt and easily adjust from one person to the next. And so that's where the textiles, the adaptability of them, the power to adapt. So you don't have to input it settings. It just automatically does it for you. All those things come together into just a very practical system. That's really what we're obsessed with. You shouldn't think about it. Put it on, helps you go home. You feel better.
Yep. And then more time with your kids, right? You more time with your kids and your wife and everything like that, or your husband, whatever. So now talk to me about the analytics part of it. Talk to me about the analytics part of the program. I mean, what people might not know, and I think that this is true, is it's collecting data too, right? Like there's metrics and data. And so does it require an integration with the local I team at the site, and what does the analytics side of it look at? Because it's more than just a suit, right?
Yeah, exactly. So again, going back to the simple usability, let's just get started and get to work. We decided to not need to integrate, with our customers' network. Sometimes that's kind of like an act of Congress, in some ways to kind of get started with. Yeah. You get it on the way. We do that with a number of customers. But to get started really quickly, you decide you want to do it. We can start in a few weeks. We kept it kind of separate. We understand everything about how people are moving in these environments, right? So that's precise information to be able to coach. And many times you see safety teams are walking around, doing observations, really with like pen and paper, right? That's what happens. But it's really hard to manage that when you have a workforce of thousands of people across tens of warehouse environments with 3 different shifts, each different trainers, different people at each of those shifts. Like you really cannot observe some of the most important things. And it's hard to make the process repeatable from one warehouse to the next, to one shift to the next, all that stuff, right? So we're leveraging all this data to understand where is the risk, what are the movements that are more prone to injury, how those these people differentiate, and then we use all those learnings to say, hey, there's a lot of twisting in this area, or there is a lot of bending and reaching in this place, and so you can then develop programs that say, hey, tomorrow try to do more of this or less of that. And then we did a study with a customer, and we saw in 30 days there was a reduction of, I think it was somewhere around 40% less, what we call unsafe movements, or movements that could be better, right? If you focus on a few things. Sometimes it's just like, oh yeah, I'll think about it tomorrow, right? Like if you're starting with CrossFit or going to the gym and no one's correcting you, like, hey, keep your back straight, do these things, you're gonna get injured, right? When the weights start coming up and the repetitions start going up. Is the same in a warehouse environment, and a lot of the warehouse population are new hires. They're running around, are trying to keep up, moving really fast in these environments. And so if you now have all this data, you can develop very, more prescriptive programs that are more targeted to, hey, remember when yesterday this happened? Like, oh yeah, okay, try tomorrow to do this sort of thing. Yeah, I get it. So it's more metric-based, data-based in these environments, which is which really complements the assistant side of things.
Absolutely. And I think when you look at safety in warehousing, a lot of times the feedback is that some of it is unfortunately retroactive. There was a safety incident or someone got injured, so now we have to go do an investigation and try to improve on it. And there's a lot of initiatives out there for people to try to make safety more proactive, get ahead of it, get on the leading edge. And this seems perfect for that, because not only is it providing support for the worker out there, it's also letting the managers know, hey, you can get ahead because this employee or this area or this type of lifting is unsafe, right? Eventually this may lead to some type of injury, and that type of data is just, now they're ahead of it now. So it's like it's a twofer, it's a twofer deal.
Yeah, we've had, yeah, absolutely. And we've had a customer also, like sometimes you can just see like crazy things in the data where, from 1 week to the next, we call it SafeLift score, really dropped. Like significantly. And like, what happened? So our customer success person called their teams like, hey, something, I don't know if, we're collecting data correctly or not, but we saw this drop, like what's going on? Like, oh, we just did a change in the warehouse last week. And so, and I'm like, so they went back and undid it. Normally they will have had to wait, a couple months. And like, oh, why are injuries going up? And then let's look at it, right? And so it lets people be ahead of those things, like you said, and not have to wait for those injuries to happen. Yeah.
Yeah. And, so I get a little bit ahead of myself because I had this question for later in the show, but I'll bring it up now. One thing also, not just the safety part of it, but when you're talking about pure productivity, right? Like productivity gains that come from a thing like this. One thing that sometimes gets lost, I think, with a lot of sites is, they look at a spreadsheet. Okay, here's my spreadsheet. I have this many employees. This is the pick rate that they should be picking at. And so I should get this amount of picks at 40 hours. Why didn't I get that? Well, because there's a dip at hour 33 or hour 38. Why? Because they're physically tired. And that's a factor that I think a lot of ops leaders don't always factor into their analysis, is that how do you account for the drop off that comes from just, I'm tired. So if you have something like this that's taking the weight off and giving them that energy back, you're probably not going to see as much of a productivity drop. Are you guys? Are you guys seeing that out there too?
Yeah, absolutely. And that's something we can actually measure very easily and quickly because customers are looking at that data every day, every hour. Like you said, that data is already out there and they're looking at it. That's how they manage their warehouses. So when you go from what, you have months or years of data without our technology, then you roll it out, you suddenly see a change in that. And so, like you said, it's not like you put it on and suddenly you lift more or whatever it is. You're doing the same job, you're doing the same tasks, but the end of the day looks more similar to how the day started. So some customers that have teams of industrial engineers and industrial engineer leaders that do these productivity standards and build them up, and a lot of them factor in a 10% drop in productivity from the beginning to the end of the shift due to fatigue. That's kind of like called the fatigue factor. And so the interesting thing is with our technology, we're seeing most cases where that productivity actually goes up by somewhere in the 5 to 8% range, depends on the environment and what people are doing. And it's really because people are not fatigued. So doing a little bit more, but actually feeling better at the end of the day. It's almost like you're going for a race and instead of the end, you're like struggling, maybe walking because you cannot make it. You're finishing more similar to how you started. So you both feel better and have a better time. And so that's kind of the experience that we see where, without shooting for it, without that being a goal, we see productivity go up due to fatigue being less than what they were used to, which is it.
Oh, it's like shoes, right? Like if I'm wearing dress shoes in the warehouse all week versus tennis shoes, the tennis shoes give the energy back to me. Same concept, right? Like same thing. So it's just another layer. So I really like that. And if you work in an office, if you look at spreadsheets, you might not understand this factor, but if you are out in a warehouse, if you spend a life in there, and the heat and everything like that, fatigue is a real, it is a real part of it. And people need to understand that. And so I really appreciate that a lot. So now let me ask you this question. So, how does it get stored? Right? Like I know it, like it's a suit. Right. Does it get hung up like a harness? Is there a locker for it? Does it get charged in there? Like, what does it look like storage? And, can I wash them? All that type of maintenance types.
So we designed the whole experience around, again, simplicity. So if you think about a warehouse, let's talk about how a day in the worker life look, right? Like they go in, they check in, they go kind of into their locker, they set things up. We have a Verve motion station, so that basically is comprised of lockers, charging stations. We actually have TVs up showing, top 5 safe lifters, anything that we learn kind of on the safety score to kind of broadcast that to help them kind of get ready for the day. So a person will go to their locker, will grab their suit that's assigned to that person, put it on and go to work. At the end of the shift, they will return to that Verve motion station, put the system back in the locker. It takes about 30 seconds to put on, maybe 10 seconds to take off. So that's also very important. You don't have 10 minutes to spare, right? So it's 30 seconds and 10 seconds, and you put it back in the locker, and the battery's on the charging station, and the next day it's kind of ready for you. So that's how it looks. And then again, we have ways of broadcasting interesting stuff that we see on the data to help people stay safe and feel better at the end of the day. So we don't want to get in the way, and it needs to be a full experience. You cannot just like throw a bunch of boxes somewhere and hope that people will be able to use it effectively. It needs to be a full experience rollout.
Yeah, well, like I was in the Air Force. Most people know that follow the podcast. This was a while ago. And when it came to the PT gear, so back then, the Air Force always trying to get people to do more physical training, more PT and everything. They put some money and everything, but the gear that we had to wear back then in the Air Force was just went to whoever the lowest bidder was. So it wasn't Nike, it wasn't Reebok, it wasn't anything that looked good. It was just cheap, and that was always the feedback that everybody would say, man, like if this was a real program and it looked good and it felt good and it felt like a college football, facility, then people would just do it. And I feel like you're right there. I feel like that would probably be the reception that you get from a lot of warehouse employees out there. I mean, is that true? Like what are people, what are you seeing? I mean, how have you been received? I mean, what's kind of the feedback that you've got out there on the floor? Like I've heard some of the testimonials from your website, and I know that those guys are all into it. They're all about it, but what's it been like out there from the user? Because I bet people really get addicted to this type thing, and they can't work without it once they start using it.
It's interesting, and that's part of what the reason why we started the company, a lot of, the emotional paycheck, right, of seeing those reactions, seeing how you're helping people. I remember talking to this associate. He's like, usually I work, feel my back hurting all day, starting at the 3-hour mark, go home, lay on the couch, not do anything else. Since I've been wearing your suit for over a year, I don't feel no back pain. I don't feel anything at all. Go home, play with my kids, get ready for next day. It's changed kind of how I feel both at work and outside of work. So hearing that, I mean, that's why we're doing this. That's why we're so excited to be building our company. And we keep hearing that at the end of the day, I usually have to take ibuprofen, or I've had to take, whatever it is, because my body hurt, and I had to just go to the couch. And now I can go and, do the things that I like to do outside of work and enjoy more that, work-life balance, both at work and so on. So it's a lot of those testimonials that feel great. And you mentioned before on like that gear that maybe wasn't, as good as it could be, or kind of, stuff like that. Really, our approach, and I always use these analogies, we want to be a little bit like power steering in a car, where you don't really notice it's there until you grab an old car. It's like, oh my God, what is... It's so hard to turn this thing, right? And so that's when you say like, how does it feel to work with it versus without, is really... You forget you're wearing it, but it's when you turn it off, they're like, oh, wow, that's kind of what it felt without it, turn it back on. And so that's a lot of the reactions and feelings that we get from the crowd.
Yeah. And you know what? I mean, look, I look at it 3 things, Ignacio, like you have the safety part of it. You have the data and the analytic part of it to help you get ahead of safety. And then there's a third component, and that's retention. And in distribution today, retention and turnover is high. It's always high in the industry across the board. And a lot of sites across the country are trying to figure out, what can we do to reduce retention? Like, what can we do to improve morale? What kind of things can we do, like engagement and everything? This is huge because you're giving people their life back, right? Their energy back. This isn't a pizza party. This isn't a, right, like a hurrah. Like, this is actually something that they can take home and other people benefit, their family and their kids and everything. There's more energy. So I think the retention piece, like if I was a ops leader and I had this in my site, this is a huge competitive advantage when it turns to fighting for labor over somebody who works at a site down the road that doesn't have it. I'll tell you that right away. So what do you think about that?
Yeah, totally. And when you ask a operations leader, like you just said, what are your kind of top 3 priorities is making sure that they have predictability, that there are no like things they cannot predict kind of going on that day. So injuries throw that off. People being fatigued different levels throws that off. And then is retention, like suddenly the next day someone doesn't show up or drops off. And it's not like you can click your fingers and get someone back on the floor operating at the same level, right? Like it takes 3 months to train someone to get up to that level. It's impossible to manage, and sometimes in many of these environments, retention is really low. Like there's a lot of turnover. And so anything you can do to keep the workforce, to bring longevity into these people's jobs really changes everything. So when we look at return on investment or value to the customer, we look at injury reduction. We typically see in the 60 to 85% reduction in back injuries, which is more than what they expect to see as a reduction than when we come back in typically. Productivity goes up by that 5 to 8% range, again, because fatigue has gone down end of the shift versus beginning of the shift. And then retention goes up. Now, that third component is admittedly hard to measure because it's affected by many things. But we've seen customers do trailing 12-month analysis and seeing retention go up by the 15 to 25% range, which is game changer in the industry.
Yeah. So I put it in my ad. If I put an ad out to hire warehouse workers to come, I put it in there. We use Verve Motion to try to tip the balance over somebody else if they were thinking to go do there. I mean,
customers show our product in job fairs, recruiting events, new people going into the warehouse to see if they want to join. So yeah, you're spot on. Yeah.
Yep. So let me ask this. So if I'm ops leader out there and I hear this, I'm like, oh, I'm all in. I want to go all in on Verve Motion. I want this. I'm sold. Like, what can I expect? I mean, what can I expect? What does it look like when you start to talk with customers, and then kind of what does the onboarding process look like from them? How's the setup look? Is there support? Talk me through what it's like when they decide to work with you.
And so we sell again a full package experience that includes a lot of the hardware components that I just mentioned: the infrastructure, lockers, charging stations, the suits, screens to show some of the important analytics that we collect. But we also have a dedicated customer success manager that's working alongside that customer from day -1 to years on. And so that person is there to do everything that is needed to do any type of change management or any type of onboarding that is needed. So typically it would involve our team will go in, set up the infrastructure, the lockers, the suits. There will be informational sessions, training sessions. We will do fitting adjustments, fitting kind of train the trainer in many ways on how to set up and do the suit. It's very easy, but there's just a couple of things, like when you buy a new bike, hey, if you look at these 2 things, it's a really good kind of like fitting setup process. So we do that on site, we train the right people, and then we follow up both virtually and on site with anything that is needed. Our package includes any sort of, something breaks, we'll just ship you a new one, get a replacement out there. We want to make sure that there's always 100% of the fielded suits, available and used. And then we will give them login credentials. They will have the software analytics available from day one. And we will have, sometimes we will do some, at the beginning, especially every couple of weeks, kind of like a check-in to see effective ways that they can use the analytics for coaching, and any lessons learned on, hey, how did it go last 2 weeks? What's the plan for the next 2 weeks? So we will do that full training, onboarding, and then continuous improvement side of things with the customer. We also move fast, right? We have a lot of software components, as I mentioned, the suits are upgradable and so on. And so we manage the full life cycle on, hey, we're just rolling in this new aspect to the program or this new feature. And so customers always know what's the latest and how to use it to leverage it efficiently. So it's a partnership. It's a partnership. It's not just like you get a bunch of boxes on your dock and good luck. We're there for the deployment, the onboarding, the rollout. And then it's interesting when you go from one site to a multi-site rollout, there's a lot of lessons that translate from one site to the next. And so we just want to make sure that everything is run effectively from a, again, change management and training and best practices perspective, because some customers are a little bit different than others, right? Like we structure the programs for each of them.
Yeah. Yeah. And I would think too, I think you might have, I'm sure you probably have all different types of facilities, big, huge distribution centers that are fast, small warehouses. And so I think there's probably a wide range of capabilities and resources and facilities that you might have. So I think having that custom support and custom integration, I think is a win. That way you know that they're utilizing it to its full ability, right? Like it's max capacity. So
yeah, absolutely. We have sites with hundreds of suits. We have others with, 10s or 50 suits or so on. And so, we just craft the program and then the check-ins in the right way. We show ROI so they can log in and see how the program's paying out. We show data analytics, upgrades, updates. Everything is just a full package program.
I love it, man. Well, so where can people find out more about you? I know you're on the podcast, you're on LinkedIn, and I know that you're out there beating the streets, if you will. But where can people find out more about you and Verve Motion, and what do you kind of have on the horizon for 2026 and beyond?
Yeah. So our website is vervemotion.com. We have a lot of resources there. You can do things like request a demo for your environment or subscribe to our blog to know what's the latest and what's coming up. Pretty active on LinkedIn as well, both at the company level and me personally. So that those are places where you can reach out. And in terms of what's next, it's really exciting how the whole environment of a warehouse of a environment is changing, and so I'm particularly excited about. We have a lot of data from these environments. There is a lot that we're going to be able to do with it very soon on safety, staying ahead on, like you were saying, Ben, on what are the risks. How do we eliminate them before they are issues? And so we're going to launch a lot of new features and new updates on that software piece, both on the safety and efficiency side of things. And then, we started with a back assistive product because, that's the number one injury out there as we think about the future. Yeah. We're going to go after eliminating other injuries too. Shoulders number 2, the knees, Ignacio. And so there's an exciting future for ergonomics in these environments, for efficiency, for really running things the way we should in terms of this environment. So very excited about what the future is holding for us there.
Very cool, man. Like I told you in the beginning, I'm even more of a fan now. Of Verve Motion and what you do after talking with you on the show. So it was awesome. I really love it. Great product, great company. Ignacio, thank you very much for appearing on the podcast, man. It was a pleasure. Best of luck to you guys in the future. And I'm sure I'll see you around either shows or on the LinkedIn streets, as they say.
Yeah, thank you so much, Ben. This was super exciting, and thanks for everything you do. On establishing everything about a new warehouse. So very excited to talk to you, Ben, and we'll keep in touch.
You got it, man. I appreciate it. Take care, my friend. Bye-bye.
Bye. Thank you.
All right, guys, please check out Verve Motion. I'm going to put a link to their website on thewarehouseunderground.com where the podcast is playing. I'll put it out there on LinkedIn, on my newsletter. I want everybody to go to them because this is a fantastic product for warehouse and distribution center employees everywhere, and they can really benefit for it for all the reasons that we talked about on the show and more. So thank you again to Ignacio. As the Warehouse Underground goes, please sign up for the community. We have over 300 people that have signed up for the community in there. It's free at thewarehouseunderground.com. We have message boards, networking, resources in there. And we have a live show that we are working to be at the end of this month, bringing in a well-known warehouse supply chain recruiter to talk about some of the stuff there. So be on the lookout for that in the future. And also, please check out the Tiger Team show. That is the other show that I do, the spinoff with my co-host Jordan. It's everything that's going on in warehouses, distribution centers, and fulfillment centers, but with a witty, sarcastic, humorous slant to it. So if you guys are working out there and you want some lighthearted relief, check that show out. I'm sure you will like it. Thank you again, Ignacio. As this podcast goes, I will see you guys next week for another episode. Thank you for listening. Bye-bye.